This is a Gilbriar Productions video by me, Paula Stone.
So we've moved now about, 3/4 of a mile from the house, and I'm standing on a big granite outcropping here that looks like it's kind of desolate at this time of year, no color. The trees are losing their leaves and such, and of course we're very, very dry right now, so things don't look really perky. But this actually is a very good place for birds, surprisingly enough, a natural environment. The granite supports a different plant community than what you would typically find in Fredericksburg, Gillespie County. We don't have any cedar, for example, but we have plenty of prickly pear, as you can see. But in the presentation later, you'll see birds, probably 8 or 9 of them that I took the pictures right around here, meadowlarks and sparrows and the kestrel, things like that you'll see. They like this little scrubby oak forest over here. There are black-throated sparrows that live among the cactus here. So this is actually a good spot. If you came here quietly and wandered around a while, you'd see plenty of birds. Off to this direction here is Hickory Creek, to the east of where we're standing. It's a perennial creek that runs through the property for about 2,000 feet, and it's a really important birding area down there. It runs north-south to the Llano River, and birds migrating south in the fall, for example, can follow that little ribbon of water for 20 miles or so, and we'll see that there are a lot of birds in the presentation as well that I took pictures of there. Beyond that is House Mountain. It's actually from the creek, or actually from where we're standing here, it's 500 feet higher up to the top of that. So the height of a 50-story building, basically. I don't know what that has to do with birds, except it does attract a lot of vultures and hawks and such that you'll see around here on a sunny day.
So here we have an eastern wood peewee. This is a little flycatcher that was also down by the creek hunting. The main hunting going on down there is dragonflies, it turns out. This guy was successful later. I saw him with a dragonfly. I like this photo of a black-throated sparrow family. These are year-round residents, actually, not migrants, but they are in an area where I pass through regularly, and they almost always seem to be there. Today, they decided to pose for a photo, so here it is. I was surprised to see these guys. They were in quite a large flock down on the granite above Hickory Creek. They're lark buntings. I've seen them here before, but it's a rare thing. They're migrating south, of course, and passing through. I took a closer photo of this male lark bunting. He's interesting because right now he's in his non-breeding plumage, and so he's got stripes and everything. In breeding plumage, he's totally black except for that large white area on the wing there. Here's a pretty bird. If you can get a close look at that, you'll see the blue on his head. It's an American kestrel male. They are raptors that hunt small things like dragonflies and lizards and such. They spend the winter here. They are up in the Great Plains, much further north in the summertime. On the day that I saw the meadowlark and some of those others, there were also vesper sparrows there. This is winter sparrow coming down. They'll spend the winter here each year. This one here is a white-crowned sparrow, first winter version. The difference is between the black and white head and the brown and white head, brown and gray, I guess. And by the end of this season, he'll have turned into black and white stripes on the head. This is a rock wren, one of my personal favorites because of their behavior when you try to take their picture. They immediately run away and hide, but then if you just kind of stand there for a minute or so, they'll pop back out and start doing push-ups up on that limb there, trying to get your attention so you'll take their picture, I guess. Here's a meadowlark, probably a western. They migrate in for the winter, probably from further north in Texas or up in the plains somewhere. What we have here is a killdeer. They're summer residents, but in fact, some of them that are further north actually also migrate through and spend the winter down in Mexico. This one is probably not one of our year-round residents because they all together showed up about the same time, a group of 3 of them. This northern harrier is actually a pretty rare sighting for me at the creek. I've seen them several times here, but it's always quick as they're flying by. They course low over the water and disappear pretty quick. I was happy to get a photo of this brown thrasher, only the second time I've ever seen one here over the last 20 years. He was down at the creek passing through, headed for Mexico. This was a surprise bird to see. It's a rusty blackbird female. It's actually quite rare here. Normal territory is much further to the east from here. eBird accepted it as a rarity in central Texas. I was surprised to actually be able to get a picture of this guy, Wilson's snipe. They're very shy and take off really fast when you approach them. This guy just kind of sat where he was and let me take a picture.
So we're standing now a little bit further down here in the floodplain of Hickory Creek. The creek is a perennial creek right over here. It's running a little bit now, even though we're months into a drought. And it does dry out. It dried out this year in August and stopped flowing. There's always some pools of water somewhere. It's a very important area for birds. Water is a key to everything here, good and bad. The reason we're on bare ground here is because in the last flood, what was here got washed away. But on the positive side, we see a lot of birds here. We'll see flycatchers and sandpipers and various warblers in the woods across the way there. That riparian woodland over there is a very important area for wood peewees and things like that, which you'll see in the presentation later. Probably 8 or 10 different migrant species, including at least one rarity, the rusty blackbird that's in here that I saw. I come down here and hang out for half hour. I saw 4 different species of warblers one day standing in one spot. They just happened to all be there. The best time to come is early in the morning when the night before has been a big migration night because of the weather or whatever. And then you'll see a lot of birds, which we do during the migration.
Another kind of rare sighting for me here, this is only the second time I've ever seen an olive-sided flycatcher here at Hickory Creek. They migrate through, follow the corridor along the creek, I expect, as they're going along. They are hunting for probably dragonflies along the creek. I actually have a picture of one having captured a dragonfly. It's always exciting to see these black-capped vireos. They were on the endangered species list up until 2018, having been, their territory is basically central Texas. The Army, U.S. Army at Fort Hood and Texas Parks and Wildlife have been working for years to increase their breeding territory in locations like Fort Hood. We actually had some breed here last spring, which was a rare thing indeed. They're now still on the list, but they're in threatened status as opposed to endangered status. Here's a kind of a bad photo of a belted kingfisher taken from a long ways away. He's fishing in a creek that a week prior was dry. It just started running again, and so there's probably no fish there, but maybe he is a whole lot smarter than I think he is. Here's a cliff swallow, which is the first time I've ever been able to photograph one of these guys flying over. They're could be anywhere from anywhere in the United States in the summertime, including Texas. They winter all the way down in South America. So this guy is probably passing through on his way to Brazil or somewhere. This red-shouldered hawk was interesting. I saw it up in the tree far away and decided, well, I'll get over there and see if I can get a picture, thinking that it was a red-tailed hawk, which won't let you get over there. They'll fly away as soon as you get within about 100 yards. This guy actually sat up in the tree all the way up to where I could get a good shot. I was happy to see this guy. He was the first spotted towhee I've seen this year. Last year we had very few of them. They come for the winter. So far this year we've seen several, this being the first one.
Okay. So this is one last habitat I wanted to point out, which is a woodland here, as you can see. lots of oak trees, cedar elms, hackberry, and others. There's American elms there. Our well is right behind over here, so it's a wet area. There's water down about 12 feet, and then our well is actually about 90 feet. But anyway, I wanted to point out this little waterer here, which is actually an important wildlife feature. It's just a 65-gallon tank, this black box here, full of water with a pond pump circulating it. I have to feed it by hand or fill it by hand every week or so.
If you can see the white iris on this bird, then you'll know it's a white-eyed vireo down in the trees by the front gate. They spend the summer there, and then they'll head down to the tropics, maybe Belize or somewhere like that for the winter. This is a least flycatcher, which kind of implies that he's the littlest flycatcher, which he is. We see quite a few of those in the fall. They especially like to hunt for moths in a little bush that's right outside of our bedroom window. Here's another kestrel photo. This happens to be a female. You can see it doesn't have the blue on the head if you look closely. There will be quite a few of those around at this time of year. What's obviously a American robin here from the red breast was up in a tree trying to hide from me. It's interesting, birds will get their head behind a leaf where they can't see you, and then they think they're hidden, but this guy has a hard time hiding because he's pretty big and pretty red. I waited a couple of minutes there and he didn't move, so finally I moved, and then he stuck his head out so he could see what I was up to, and I was able to get a picture of his head. This hermit thrush spends the winter here each winter. Maybe not the same hermit thrush, but he arrives along about mid-October and will still be around until maybe March. I actually captured this picture on a game camera I have down by a waterer there that you see behind him.